Hey, good morning. Today's another one of our first fives, as we're talking about a text in Matthew chapter 24. And the truth is, it's one of those passages of scripture that honestly, if we're not careful, we can misread and read it wrongly. Jesus spends the first half of Matthew 24 talking about the destruction of the temple in Jerusalem and how in the next generation you're going to see that happen, and not one stone will be left on another. And to this day, we know that actually happened in 70 AD. But he goes on to talk about that there will be a day when he returns, when he sets the world right. And so for a long time in church history, people have tried to figure it out. And honestly, most have not worked too hard at trying to figure that out. But in the last 200 years or so, there's been this great push, this thought that we can figure all this stuff out. And we can know when Jesus is going to return. And we can know when this is going to happen. And I'll remind you of the words he gives us. These are the words of Jesus from Matthew chapter 24, verse 36. And he's talking about that day when he'll return and redeem the world and make all the wrongs right. He says this, "No one knows about that day or hour, not even the angels in heaven, nor the Son, but only the Father." And that's pretty powerful for us. And he goes on to talk about, he says this, he says, "As it was in the days of Noah, so it will be at the coming of the Son of Man. For in the days before the flood, people were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, up to the day Noah entered the ark, and they knew nothing about what would happen until the flood came and took them all away. That's how it will be at the coming of the Son of Man. 2 men will be left in the field. One will be taken, the other left. 2 women will be grinding with a handmill. One will be taken, and the other left." I want to say here, we probably get this wrong. Our assumption is the one who leaves is the one who goes to be with the Lord. That's not what Jesus is saying. See, work is the way in which we are created. He goes on to say this, "Therefore keep watch, because you do not know on what day your Lord will come. But understand this. If the owner of the house had known at what time of night the thief was coming, he would have kept watch and would not have let his house be broken into. So you also must be ready, because the Son of Man will come at an hour when you do not expect him." So what Jesus wants us to understand this is the point isn't whether you're the one out mixing up the corn to make cornmeal in the fields. The point is this: God's going to redeem and restore and make all things new. And if we're not careful, we can be so fixated on trying to figure it out that we miss this call to live. We miss this call to be God's unique people in the world. Honestly, I could spend a whole lot of time talking about how we probably misunderstand what we would call eschatology or end times theology. We misunderstand it so much, so often. Most popular cultural stuff you buy or read or watch in a movie is really bad understanding of Scripture. It's not historic, it's all kinds of things. And on another maybe episode we can talk about some of those kind of things. But here's the point I want to get across today. This is the good news for our day. We don't know. The day and the hour are unknown. And what he goes on to use this illustration, we can't figure it out. People are living life and then Jesus comes. And so maybe you and I should worry less about trying to figure it out and read the times of our day. Now, if we're trying to read them so we can figure out how to minister to people better, I'm all in on that. But if we're trying to figure out how we think Jesus is going to return, then we're missing the point of the very words of Jesus. And so here's the good news for us today. Jesus will redeem, he will restore, he will make all things new. The good news for us as well is that we don't have to figure out when. He just promises it will happen. Just like he promised the temple would be destroyed, and it was. He promises us that there will be a day he makes all things right. And so you and I can rest easy knowing that God is God, that his son Jesus will restore and redeem and make new, and that his Spirit can be with us in these days. So may your day be filled with God's grace and his hope and his love. We'll see you next time.